What's up guys, Swim McTeeny here, and today for you I've got an OLT playoffs game. This is round 1 between Lions and Kickasser. Both of them are sort of newcomers to the tournament scene. Kickasser actually qualified for the playoffs of Sumogun Tour 23 and did very well in that tournament. And Lions is, I think, a bit newer. I haven't seen him that much, although I know he won, I think, Cycle 2 of OLT very convincingly with an SD Taunt Gliscor team with Calm Mind Coco. So this is going to be an interesting series. Lions is going to be using Zard, but without Dugtrio. If you didn't know, Dugtrio is being suspect tested right now, but it is still legal for OLT playoffs, so he's using Zard without Dugtrio. He's got a Tapu Fini, so that makes me think that it shouldn't be Zard X, because Misty Terrain weakens electric moves. So we see Lando as Scarf. We can actually see that from Landorus's Intimidate going off before Tapu Koko's Electric Surge. Lions just U-turns out of the Tapu Koko, which is a very fair play, assuming Kickasser will be afraid of that Scarf Earthquake and will switch out. Kickasser actually predicts that, or he just doesn't realize that the Lando is Scarf, and he goes for a U-turn as he takes a lot of chip from hitting that Ferrothorn and taking the U-turn, but now he's got a free switch. Now, Kickasser is using a Kyurem B team with Tapu Koko and Tapu Fini, which is interesting. It probably doesn't have Dragon. I would guess it doesn't have Dragon Stab. Maybe I'm a little bit too concerned about Misty Terrain weakening my Dragon moves, but that's one reason why I find Tapu Fini annoying to use. But yeah, so he's got Tapu Koko, which can power up Fusion Bolts with the Kyurem, but the Kyurem's going to need some strong Ice Beams, or perhaps even HP Fire to break through this Ferrothorn. It could also be Icium Kyurem, and that Z Freeze Shock is very, very strong, and would nearly OHKO the Ferrothorn, wouldn't quite take it out. So looking at his team, Tapu Koko, Tapu Fini don't do that well against Ferrothorn, and so I would guess that the Greninja is going to be a Protean Greninja with HP Fire, because especially also Scizor as well, he's quite weak to that, and I feel like he couldn't really afford to run an Ashgren. The Lando might also be SD considering that. It also helps out with stuff like Clefable, because you don't want to rely completely on Scizor for that. He does choose to go to his Lando, meaning he wants to get up rocks to pressure that Zard. Of course, Mew is probably Defog Ice Beam, so he does actually just go hard Mew on the Lando. So we can throw out Defog right here. A lot of Mews have been running a ton of speed to outspeed Lando, but not all Mews do that. So it could depend if, okay, so he is faster than the Lando, as the Lando goes for a U-turn. So that's actually pretty nice for Kickasser, because U-turn Lando can definitely pressure the Mew. As Lions can't just mindlessly keep switching in Mew on Lando, because if he keeps taking U-turns and get forced out, he's not going to be able to keep coming in and defogging, otherwise eventually he's going to die. We do see Gren come out, which I thought might be a bluff, because, okay, it is Protean Gren, right, so it wasn't Ash Gren, so at least I got that right. It might actually be Scarf Gren. Looking at his team is a little bit slow. If he wasn't Scarf Gren, the fastest thing on his team would be that Tapu Koko, so it could very well be Scarf Gren with HP Fire as coverage. Might not be, but yeah, so he's got U-turn Lando, U-turn Scarf Gren, probably U-turn Scizor as well, maybe not though, and he's got U-turn Tapu Koko. His Tapu Fini then, maybe it's Specs HP Fire Tapu Fini. That would be really cool to see. Yeah, because that wouldn't be expected, and it'd be pretty nice. The advantage of Tapu Fini over Primarina, I guess, is being unexpected, but honestly, I guess I'd say Primarina is a bit better than Specs Fini, especially now when Talk Specs is so common. It's really useful to have Psychic coverage. But yeah, anyway, I'm just theorying Specs Fini, but knowing how uncommon Fini itself is and how uncommon Specs is on it, it's probably not that set. So I think Ferrothorn is probably the biggest threat. Not the threat, but it's going to be very annoying to kill. Especially if Lions is able to keep rocks off, because Zard is a very good answer to Scizor, and Scizor tends to try to use Ferrothorn as setup bait, but if he can just go Zard every time, it's not really going to be that helpful, and Zard is going to be very difficult for Kickasser to switch into. So he does go to his Tapu Koko. Ferrothorn is a very safe switch. Lions chooses to go to his Lando instead, as that, yeah, so he's Scarf, so he's going to get the U-turn off. I'm not really sure why he chose this play, because Kickasser can just go to his Lando and throw up rocks again. He actually chooses to go Scizor, which is fair. He wants the slower U-turn. Doesn't want to give up any momentum, I guess. And so yeah, if the Lando U-turns, then he's gonna U-turn out as well. I guess that's what guessing that's what's gonna happen. People are joking about the U-turn spam. I feel like Kickaster is also looking for a good opportunity for his Scizor, for his Kyurem to put in some work, but that might not be the case. Because like he would have gone to it, I felt like, on the Lando. Maybe he didn't want to take a Stone Edge or something, but he does Earthquake on the Scizor U-turn. That actually does a pretty hefty chunk, 37. And now he does get the Lando. He could have done this earlier, so this, like, I feel like this advantages Liones compared to Kickaster just going hard. If Kickaster just went hard, what's it called? Hard Lando instead of going Scizor and Mega. Maybe he wanted his Mega Evolution to get off, but the chip, it's not really that helpful for him, and now he has to roost up his Scizor, so Kickaster could very well just go for a U-turn right here because Liones is locked into Earthquake and he can't touch the Lando, and of course Kickaster's Lando is Rock, so it'll be slower. If Liones does choose to stay in predicting the U-turn, then he'll maybe try to get a prediction to switch back out, but like, it's not going to really help him, because otherwise Kickaster is just going to go Scizor, then he has the option of roosting or just U-turning, and he's just going to keep up the momentum. It's going to be very hard to get it back, so at this point you want to cut your losses, take advantage, try to just take advantage of whatever you think Kickaster is going to do, go Ferrothorn on U-turn, go Mew on a Stealth Rocks, whichever works best. So, Lando's in, Kickaster is deciding between Rocks and U-turn, I'm guessing, as Liones has locked in his play. If I were Liones, going Mew? No, he does go Feeny, okay. Yeah, so he does just U-turn. Yeah, I felt like Mew would be a little bit too risky because the U-turn's a little bit too free. I thought that he might go to the Ferrothorn just to get some chip on this Lando, and later on see if it's like Helmet or Leftovers. Instead he goes Tapu Fini, which is only going to let back in the Koko, so Koko's back in, and another U-turn, as he does go to Ferrothorn to get the chip on the Koko. So yep, the This is literally just U-turn, 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 U-turn. This is so funny. Anyway, Lando comes in on the Ferrothorn. If the Ferrothorn stays in, it probably does beat the Lando 1v1, but for that it'll need to set up Leech Seeds, and it'll let up Stealth Rocks, plus the Lando will just U-turn out and force it to reset Seeds, so it's going to be tricky for Lance to stay in, because if he does stay in, then he lets in Scizor while Rocks are up, and that's going to be very annoying for Liones, because Zard is his best answer to Scizor, so he does choose to go to Feeny. Maybe his Feeny is Defog. He does Smackdown. Okay, Smackdown. I guess he's predicting the Zard to come in. That's what Kickaster is doing. He's predicting the Zard to come in on that turn. Probably expecting Zard Y, fairly enough. Even though there is no Dugtrio or T-Tar. And so with that much lack of support for Zard, I'm a little bit wary of it being Zard Y, but maybe Liones just didn't expect Kickaster to use a very strong Zard answer. We see Kickaster goes straight for the Rocks, as the Tapu Fini goes for the Nature's Madness. The lack of leftovers sort of shows that the Lando is probably not left. Oh, okay, actually that Earthquake did a good amount of damage, so that might be Earth Plate, and U-turn is just to help it set up Rocks versus something like Mew. So, or Smackdown, or like I understand the strategy, because Smackdown tends to push the opponent to switch, and so with U-turn you can get the momentum, and I guess like the alternate is to use something like HP Ice with Gravity, but I guess he chose that Smackdown plus U-turn was more worthwhile. Maybe he didn't want to, like, because if he doesn't have a Grass type, then using Gravity makes herself weak to ground moves, and he probably didn't feel comfortable with that, and felt like Smackdown plus U-turn would be good enough. He didn't really need HP Ice with something like Feeny, SD Scizor, Kyurem, something like that. It might not be SD Scizor, it could be Defog, but on a team like his, I feel like SD has its advantages, although definitely T-Spikes would be annoying. Yeah, T-Spikes would definitely be annoying, because the Tapu Fini can't really stop it completely, but then again, the Tapu Fini might itself be Defog, so Tapu Fini uses Defog on the Lando's second Earthquake, and now we have an interesting situation where, like, Kickaster, like, Liones can't really stop Rocks from going up unless he clicks Defog every single turn, except even then, the Stealth Rocks will out-PP the Defog, but Tapu Fini will get Leftovers Recovery every single turn. So yeah, he does go to Mew as the Lando goes for the Stealth Rocks, and he's gonna just straight defog them away as the Lando just goes straight for a U-turn. Yeah, I'm not really sure why he's not choosing to kill the Lando, because I feel like if he doesn't kill the Lando, he's just gonna keep setting up rocks, and yeah, the Gren comes back in, and it's just gonna U-turn and like do it again. So Liones has to like make an aggressive play, like going Lando or something of the sorts, because now his Mew's in range of U-turn. That U-turn's actually doing a very hefty chunk of damage, so it's definitely some sort of offensive Lando. I think it's Earthplate, although 40 may be a little bit less for an Earthplate EQ. But he could go Terrakion, which I think, well, actually Terrakion's not going to be Scarf. It's probably like a Z move, STZ move. And that sort of makes me think that the Zard might be X, even though he has a Tapu Fini. I feel like he might be Zard X. I don't know. But I think it's some sort of SD Terrakion. It is Scarf Lando. Terrakion's, well, actually, yeah, he probably feels safe against Volcarona with Zard and Terrakion. He does choose to go to Terrakion on the U-turn, probably expecting that Gren. It's probably a pretty safe move because Gren probably is not running Hydro Pump. Well, not a lot of Scarf Grens run Hydro Pump. I like Hydro Pump on my Scarf Gren, but I only really used it once, and it was just that particular team I felt Hydro Pump would be good. Most commonly, they have like Ice Beam, Gunk Shot, U-turn, and Rock Slide. So anyway, the Terrakion comes in as the Scizor. Scizor comes in, threatening the Bullet Punch, but it could also U-turn. This is sort of funny, like the whole like trapped into the U-turn vortex thing. Like, I feel like Liones is definitely struggling a little bit, like, to get in the hits while keeping off the rocks, because both his Tapu Fini is slower than Lando, and the Mew is weak to U-turn, and it's just like putting him in a really tough spot. And I feel like he needs to just kill the Lando and then find another opportunity to defog later on in the game. I think Kickaster is, if I had to guess, I'd say Kickaster's Z move is either on his Koko or his Kyurem. If it's on his Koko, then he's got a nice Electrium, like probably Electrium Z to throw out on like let's say the Lando, like the point I'm trying to make is, let's say the Lando, oh, it is Z move, Terrakion, it is Continental Crush, and it doesn't kill the Scizor, which goes for the U-turn. Damn. So Scizor hangs on by a thread, and Liones gets off a nice big Continental Crush on the Scizor, putting it in range of rocks. I feel like at this point Liones just wants up his own rocks, like, which he's probably carrying on his Ferrothorn, and if he throws up rocks, like, rocks is help himself. Yeah, I think at this point he can afford to just throw up rocks. So like, let's say Kickaster brings in Koko on, and he U-turns on a Ferrothorn switch in and goes to his Lando. Previously, Liones was switching out his Ferrothorn because he couldn't afford to leave it in while rocks were up, because it allowed Kickaster to put a lot of pressure with the Scizor. But now if he just exchanges rocks, the Scizor is dead, and the need for his Charizard to stay very healthy decreases intensively. And now rocks are quite good against Kickaster because he's U-turning in and out, in and out, in and out, and he really wants that damage. So yeah, he actually gets in Ferrothorn on the Tapu Fini. Because of the Mystery Terrain, the Scald won't kill, so Kickaster's sort of pressured to go for Taunt because he needs the rocks to stay off, which gives Liones a very nice Power Whip on that Fini, setting him up for his Zard to put in a lot of work. I definitely think Zard's going to be really, really dangerous. I think it's a Zard X, and if that Tapu Fini is weakened, oh, does it live? Oh my god, it lived. Damn. Wow. That's impressive. Oh my god. Okay, so Liones probably is just gonna switch Zard here. I don't know if Kickaster, I feel like Kickaster just has to roost and let that Zard in, but Zard is also very, very dangerous to Kickaster. I don't know if it's worth it to go for a U-turn though. I don't really think it is. Like, at this point, you have to be accepting that Zard's going to get a free switch at some point in the game if you're going to play Scizor like this. Unless it's really just U-turn, U-turn, U-turn the whole entire game. Yeah, it's an interesting position because of the Hazards game. He does roost as the Zard comes in, and I guess now the Zard's probably going to go for a fire move, and we get to see if it's X or Y, so he is indeed X, and that Flare Blitz is going to knock out that Fini with a second one. So yeah, this Zard X is going to be very, very dangerous. Right now, the Dragon moves are weakened on the Zard, but it's not really going to matter that much unless it's like trying to get the Kyurem in on the Zard. So yeah, so Scarf Rock Slide from Greninja is not really going to kill Charizard. It's probably going to do a hefty chunk, but I doubt it's going to kill, because Zard is quite bulky. Zard beats Tapu Koko, it beats Scizor, it's probably going to beat the Lando at this point, because it should be Jolly and faster, and the Lando is very, very weak. And then the Kyurem is just the only thing left, and once Misty Terrain's gone, a Dragon Claw is going to do a lot of damage. If the Kyurem is just barely weakened, or if it's Life Orb and minus defense, probably a knockout. So this Zard is definitely looking very, very dangerous to Kickasser. Another thing is, now that he's got his Mega off, those rocks are going to do even less damage to his Zard, so that Flare Blitz recoil isn't really that big of a problem, and he's a bit more willing to let rocks go up. So he does indeed go Kyurem, because he's protected by the Misty Terrain. He can probably throw off a strong Ice Beam or a Z Free Shock. Zard does switch out for the Tapu Fini, as the Ice Beam shows Life Orb. Okay, so that's a Life Orb Kyurem, meaning the Z move is probably on Tapu Koko, because otherwise, I mean, Tapu Koko is much better breaker with a Z move, and it's really a waste to not run a Z move, unless it's like Tectonic Rage Lando or something weird like that, but I feel like he would have used it if it was, so, yeah, so the Ice Beam comes out on the Fini, so that's probably going to knock out the Fini with the second Ice Beam. Kickasser's deciding what he wants to do, if he wants to, because the downside of, like, he lets in the Terrakion again if he kills the Tapu Fini with an Ice Beam, but if he switches out, he doesn't really have something nice to go to. Although the Fini is probably running Moonblast, Nature's Madness, Taunt, Defog, so it probably doesn't have a water move. So Kickasser is thinking whether to kill this Fini or not. He's down to 20 seconds. 10 seconds, oh my god, and he does choose to Ice Beam and knock out the Fini. Now Liones can get a switch into his Terrakion and fire off a Close Combat or a Stone Edge, so this is putting him in a pretty good position. The Scizor can switch in because it did Roost and pressure it out with Bullet Punch, but of course it'll be heavily weakened by switching in, and it'll allow Zard in if he Bullet Punches on a switch, so tricky position definitely for Kickasser, plus now his Kyurem is weakened, and the Misty Terrain is going to end in one turn, so that Zard is really, really building up to be a big threat. He does choose to go into Tapu Koko, as he just goes for a safe CC, not a Stone Edge. If he went for a Stone Edge, he would have caught that Koko, and if he hit it, he would have knocked it out. Instead, Kickasser gets the Koko in, puts some pressure on Liones' team, because Liones is he actually stays in close combats again, maybe expecting a U-turn, as Tapu Koko chooses to go for a Roost, so probably in that case a Taunt Wild Charge set. Although it's running U-turns, so maybe not. He does go Lando out to Tapu Koko Roosts. If U-turns and Tapu Koko stays in and U-turns, it's gonna be very funny. But 10 seconds, he has to decide very, very quickly what he wants to do. Otherwise he's gonna time out. He might just time out right here, damn. That's 10 seconds? He Stone Edges as the Tapu Koko stays in and U-turns. Oh my god. So, I mean, Stone Edge is a fair play. He wants to get damage on the Tapu Koko, and he doesn't want to let that Lando come in and get up rocks, so yeah, Kickasser is living on the complete edge. 10 seconds. He needs to choose very, very fast what he wants to do. He goes to his Greninja, which is going to be Scarf. He can choose to U-turn or Ice Beam. Liones probably is going to make an instinct play to Ferrothorn, but Liones doesn't have any reason to play fast. Kickasser is the one who's under the pressure to play fast. And I guess the only thing that playing fast... Oh, he actually does choose to stay in, as Kickasser goes for a low kick trying to predict the Ferrothorn, and the Stone Edge hits the Greninja, so he low kicks, and the Ferrothorn is in. He's running low kick. I guess that's for Mega T-Tar. Yeah, low kick is definitely for Mega T-Tar. I guess he's really worried about that. I'm not really sure why. It does also hit Ferrothorn, of course, but not really... I guess, I don't know. I guess it's fine. He does Stone Edge as the Scizor comes in. It takes 23. Damn. 23. Liones has recently become very, very aggressive about predicting the U-turn, staying in and close combating that Koko, staying in and Stone Edging on the what's it called, the Greninja. Like, he's definitely become a bit more aggressive about predicting the U-turn, but right here he really has no good reason to stay in. He does indeed go to Zard. This is the best of both worlds, because if he U-turns, the Scizor stays weakened, and if he and he still can't go Lando instead of Barox, and if the Scizor switches out, now the Zard is in, and he does choose to, oh, there's the DD. The Lando comes in, but Charizard takes advantage of that, gets that +1 speed, makes its attack higher so that Kickgaster's put in a tough spot and takes out the Lando, meaning there's no more rocks for Kickgaster. Kyurem comes in, maybe hoping that the Zard is Outrage. If the Zard is Outrage, then I guess his win con at this point is that Scizor. Like, maybe he can, like, kill the Zard that gets locked in that Outrage and then win with Scizor, is, I guess, the idea. Like, if he, let's say Zard outrages right here and kills the Kyurem, Greninja comes in, he like hits Rock Slide or something and doesn't kill it but dies, and if the Zard stays locked into the outrage, he can go to Tapu Koko, and oh, he actually just chooses to Flare Blitz as the Kyurem Ice Beams. Did he just choke the game? I feel like that Scizor is going to win now. Like, I feel like he just choked the game. I'm fairly certain he just choked the game to SD Scizor. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Scizor is now gonna win. He can click EQ and get his kill, but that's actually Scizor might be able to switch in, but honestly at this point I would sack the Kyurem, get a free switch to Scizor. And I'm pretty sure Scizor literally just comes in and SDs and wins. Maybe maybe he just doesn't realize that the Scizor is SD and he thinks Mew can burn it and Ferrothorn can leech seed it and it'll be fine. But I'm fairly sure that's a trade he did not want to take. If I were him, I would have sacked Mew, gone back to Terrakion, saved the Zard, because he needs the Zard. I'm not really sure why he chose to just sack it to that Kyurem. And if he had switched out to Mew on the Ice Beam, the Kyurem would have taken the Life Orb hit, and when it was forced out by Terrakion, it would have been put in range of a neutral Flare Blitz. So that would have been perfectly fine for Liones, and I think he made a pretty poor play. He does choose to go hard to Scizor. He wants to save that Kyurem, as this gives Liones a chance. If I were him, I would still EQ and just go for the crit. Unless, actually, it could be fair to go to Mew in this situation, because then he has the opportunity to Wisp. Actually, yeah, going Mew might be the best move in this situation, because he has the option of Wisping or Roosting, and that gives him at least a chance to beat the Scizor. A small chance, admittedly, but I feel like he definitely made his position much, much harder to win. Definitely much harder to win. So, like, and the other thing I was saying is if he switched out on the Ice Beam, he would have taken the recoil that puts him in range of Flare Blitz. So even if he had Outrage, he wouldn't have to worry about it, so I don't know, that's why I feel like sacking Zard for the Flare Blitz damage on Kyurem wasn't the best play. And now, especially that now that Kickgaster chose to save that Kyurem, he has the option of doubling to it and like getting off a Roost or another big hit. So yeah, Liones has sort of dug himself into a hole where he got rid of his biggest threat. He does choose to go for that crit EQ on the Scizor, doesn't get it. It's fine though, I guess, because he still pressures the Scizor to Roost on this turn. Like, I feel like it'd be a pretty risky play for him not to Roost, but I feel like he could also choose to SD, as he does choose to knock off actually. So it's not an SD Scizor, it's U-turn, Roost, knock off, Bullet Punch. Interesting. So I feel like that's a nice method to like pressure stuff like Celesteela and things of the sort. Anyway, he goes for the U-turn on the Ferrothorn, doing a really nice big chunk. Ferrothorn's already down to 50. Kyurem does come in as the Ferrothorn just goes for Stealth Rock, so this Kyurem's probably going to get to Roost. Yeah, this Kyurem's probably going to get to Roost. If I were Liones, I would just go hard Terrakion right here, unless you've got Gyro Ball on Ferrothorn, which is very uncommon. But he actually goes to Mew as the Kyurem roosts. I guess it's a very fast Mew, and he wants to just roost up, as it's not faster than the Kyurem. Okay, so yeah, Rack was definitely the play then. I think Liones just lost this game. I'm pretty sure he's gonna lose now, because yeah, Tapu Koko comes in. as the Trakion just goes for a CC, and yeah, this game is looking like crap. He could go Lando right here though and go for a EQ. We don't know if this Tapu Koko is running like Taunt or HP Ice. He does go to Lando as the Tapu Koko does at HP Ice. It just T-bolts. Okay, so Lando's in, gets to EQ. That's just gonna let Scizor back in though, and like I said, Scizor's gonna win this game. So actually no, Scizor's at 33. What the hell? Okay, so he goes Greninja. I mean, this is fine though, because if assuming he's running Ice Beam, he can just spam Ice Beam and force Ferrothorn in, then use that to get up his Roost, I guess. Not really sure. I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe he doesn't want to get stuck into last mon Scizor versus Ferrothorn and the Lando still be alive, because if Leech Seed is up, then the Scizor's going to have a tough time winning as the last mon. So I feel like he somehow still has a way to win this game. Lion's, that is. But it's tricky. Yeah, Kickasser definitely has one play, which is Ice Beam. I don't see... Yeah, I don't think it's a 50-50. Where's the 50-50? He definitely needs to save the Lando. That's Lion's 100% play. He does choose to go to Terrakion as the Greninja goes for the Ice Beam. I mean, going Terrakion is fair. He gets to see how much what Kickasser wants to do. He chooses to sack the Terrakion. Maybe I would have saved the Terrakion. Ferrothorn comes in. Kickasser can choose to sack Kyurem. He can... Sacking Kyurem, I guess, might be a problem if Lion chooses to double to his Lando. So he might just stay in an Ice Beam. But then he might be worried about... I mean, this was definitely Lion's play to sack the Terrakion, because he needed to keep the Ferrothorn as healthy as possible. He does choose to Ice Beam again, as he just goes for a Leech Seed. Okay, so he's going to get some extra Ice Beam damage. And... Actually, if Ice Beam was only doing 22%, maybe he should have just gone Ferrothorn, knocked out the Gren, then gone Rack. Yeah, that's definitely the best play. No. Yeah, definitely. Because if Ferrothorn, let's say Ferrothorn died, like, knocked out the Gren, then Scizor comes in, then he has to Leech Seed on the Roost. But if Scizor comes in directly, then Terrakion can come in. Like, if the Ferrothorn dies, then the Terrakion can come in and kill the Gren, and then the Scizor can't BP the Terrakion because Lando comes in and EQ sweeps. So it's okay if Ferrothorn dies while Gren is in, because that forces Kickasser to not kill the Ferrothorn with Gren, meaning Ferrothorn will stay alive. And so yeah, anyway, he goes Kyurem, HP fires as the Lando comes in, and but I mean Scizor, yeah, Gren just comes in and Ice Beams, and oh, he low kicks. Oh, and that kills. Interesting. Okay, so low kick wins. So yeah, Kickasser won this game. I think Lion's had to save his Terrakion to have that sack for the Kyurem. I think what he should have done is save that Zard. Honestly, I'm very confused about the endgame, the way they chose to play it. He went to Mew on the Kyurem while he was slower. Maybe he was like 290 speed Mew and was expecting like a plus attack or plus special attack Kyurem. But even then, his play was definitely to go to Terrakion, because if the Kyurem Ice Beams or something of the sort, it's gonna die, and that's what you want. So either way, definitely sacking his Zard was not the move. That much I know for sure. And the way he played his Mew, he might as well have sacked his Mew in that Ice Beam and gone to Rack, and then later put his Zard in a position to win. But yeah, that's the game, and then we're immediately on to game 2. Lions is going to be using a Sharpedo team with Gren, so he's got some like water spam stuff going on. If I had to take a guess, it's going to be Ash Gren with spikes. Actually, no, he has Ferrothorn, so his Spiker is not Gren, it's going to be Ferrothorn. At least, I mean, if you've got Ferrothorn, you've got very little reason not to use spikes on it. But Kickaster is going to be using a Tapu Lele Latios team. This basically looks like Volturn with Gus as a pivot, Gren as like a Scarfer, Tapu Lele as a breaker. Yeah, Gren's got to be a Scarfer unless it's Scarf Latios, because he's pretty weak to Volk. He can't really afford Scarf Lele. He does show U-turn on Gren, so it is indeed Scarf Gren. There's the U-turn. Tapu Lele comes in, probably a Specs Lele. And if he clicks Psychic on one of the 2 dark types, it's gonna do nothing. But if he clicks Psychic on anything else, it's just gonna get shattered. Absolutely shattered by a Psychic. Specs Psychic is gonna do, I'd guess, like 45 to Ferrothorn, maybe 40. But like, it's gonna do a lot. He could also just Moonblast because it's Specs, and Specs Moonblast will do a ton of damage again. Obviously, it's not gonna do as much as Psychic to Ferrothorn. If he catches the Ferrothorn with an HP Fire, it's gonna put him in a huge position, because then Lions just loses any switch into Moonblast, and that basically means Tapu Lele is going to start winning this game. He does choose to go Latios as the Tapu Lele throws off Psychic. Latios, decent option, as he chooses to go to Sharpedo on the Greninja switch, so this is literally just perfect for Kickaster. Greninja was a really nice play because Latios would have to be insane to go for a Draco in that position. Most likely going to go for a Psychic move, that only lets, going for a Psychic move just lets in the Gren for free since it's Dark type on the switch, and if you roost, he can U-turn out of there and still be fine. And if Lion switches to a Sharpedo or his Gren, the U-turn, the Scarf U-turn is going to immediately pressure it out. So he chooses to go to Lando on the U-turn. U-turn was basically the only play Kickaster had there, so I guess Lion decided not to protect. Or maybe he doesn't have protect if he's running some weird Sharpedo like Z-Taunt or something like that. But anyway, he goes to Lando on the U-turn. There is no helmet. I mean, he's got a Clef to be a rocker. This might be Scarf Lando. Or some like Z-move Lando. But no, he's not Scarf because he does choose to switch out and he goes to Ferrothorn. Yep, that does 40. Damn, that's really freaking strong. And Psychic Terrain ends this turn. Ferrothorn could Leech Seed to heal up some health. I feel like that would be a fair play. He does choose to go for the Spikes though, which is also fair. Scizor or Latios could be running Defog. But honestly, with Tapu Lele, I feel like Scizor might just be Defog. Because it'd be weird to like have and trying to SD sweep while your own Psychic Terrain is up. But anyway, so he gets up Rocks and then U-turns out of this Lando, as the Lando goes straight for a Supersonic Strike Strike and OHKOs the Latios. So that's really nice for him. The Latios is gone. Tapu Lele comes in, so that thing is in. Is the Clef called Mind? I feel like this might be SD Rocks Flynium Lando, and Ferrothorn is just Spikes and Clef is just Calm Mind or Healing Wish. But I guess it could be some other Lando and Rocks Clef, but I feel like it's very weird to run Shy Strike Lando without running like Rocks on it, because it's like such a good move. Like it's a good place to compact Rocks onto it. Anyway, Lele is in. He does choose to go to Hard Latios, as the Lele does indeed go for Moonblast. I think at this point Moonblast is a very safe move because Ferrothorn is pretty weak. And it's probably going to be doing around a little bit less than 30, I'd say, to Ferrothorn. So switching hard into Ferrothorn is still an advantage for Kickaster. He can choose to go to, he does choose to go to Lando, as he just spikes again. So Lions isn't choosing the Leech Seed, which I find interesting. Honestly, I would expect him to Leech Seed at some point, but maybe he's expecting the Amoonguss to come in, and he's worried about that. Win cons. I feel like Kickaster, all he needs to do is keep his Scizor healthy, and he's not going to have to worry about losing to Sharpedo or Gren. Assuming he keeps his Amoonguss healthy as well for the Gren. I mean, but especially for Gren, he has his own Scarf Gren, so I feel like Sharpedo is really his only big threat. Except Kickaster is just like completely like destroying Lions right now. It's very hard for Lions to keep up with with the momentum that Kickaster has and the very strong breaker in Tapu Lele. He does choose to go to Ferrothorn on as the Psychic. Oh, comes out. Nice move by Kickaster. Amoonguss would be a pretty fair play right now because Psychic Terrain's going to end, which means that Sharpedo won't be able to OHKO with his Psychic Fangs. He does choose to go to Amoonguss, as the Ferrothorn does switch to Sharpedo, and yep, the Amoonguss is going to beat. Yeah, this was like, it was basically a coverall play. Pretty straightforward. Honestly, if Lions wanted to get back into this game, he had to predict Amoonguss, but he didn't. So I'm fairly confident Kickaster is going to win this pretty convincingly. I mean, Amoonguss basically was a no-drawback play, like, because the Dark Switch-In is going to stop the Psychic and lose some momentum, but if you switch out in the Ferrothorn Leech Seed, it's going to lose you something. So just like going Amoonguss, it covers both the Dark Water types and stops Leech Seed, which means Ferrothorn's always going to stay in range of 2 Moonblasts. Now I am of course assuming that the Amoonguss is running HP Fire, but I feel like it's a pretty natural assumption on a team like his. He chooses to go to Lando as Liones goes to his own Lando. Now that's a very aggressive predict, for sure. He does go for the Smackdown as the Lando goes for the Fly. And EQ does not hit it under Fly, but Fly only does 40. Damn. Smackdown and Fly. Pretty interesting. I think if he smacked down while he was flying, he might have been able to hit it. I'm pretty sure he could have smacked down on the Fly. But yeah, he just, I don't know, maybe he thought EQ killed. It doesn't really matter. Lions goes to his Greninja. He's gonna need like some freaking miracle. Some like goddamn miracle to win with this Gren. I guess Flamethrower Clef, Calm Mind Flamethrower Clef might have a small chance, but Kickaster is being very wise to save his Spore on his Amoonguss. And that's definitely the right move, I feel. Especially if he's running Clear Smog, he doesn't really have to worry about it. But I think saving his Spore is a really smart move, because you never know when that Clef might get out of hand, when your Psychic Terrain is up and you're unable to Bullet Punch it. So yeah, he does show that Specs Gren doing 34 to like probably a full spit F Amoonguss. So now he basically has to fish for a flinch, like there's no other play. And I don't know if Giga Drain actually kills this Gren. I think it might not, but it probably heals him up enough that he doesn't have to worry about dying the next turn. All he has to worry about is another flinch. But even at that point, he's got his own Scarf Gren to just put the pressure on his Gren. He chooses to go to Ferrothorn as the Amoonguss does Spore. Okay, so he did decide that he wants to completely eliminate the Gren. It does show the HP Fire. I guess Lions at that point was just hoping that like it wasn't an HP Fire. HP Fire Amoonguss. I'm not really sure. I felt like he had no other play but to go for the flinch with his Greninja. But he chose not to, so his Sharpedo is in. If I were Kickaster, I would sack Lando. I think I would sack Lando. Unless it's like an Earth Plant Lando, then I can see the allure of wanting to keep it. And in that case, he could, he definitely wants to save Amoonguss, and he definitely wants to save Gren. And his Scizor, obviously. So yeah, he does actually choose to sack his Lele, as the Sharpedo Mega Evolves and goes straight for a Psychic Fangs. It doesn't even get the speed boost. Okay, so he doesn't even get the speed boost. Like, I felt like he had a chance to win if he kept his, like, because Kickaster can't afford to stay in with his Amoonguss. If Lions at least kept his speed boost, he has a chance to flinch the Scizor. Now he doesn't even have that chance. So yeah, he just U-turns with his Gren as Clef comes in. Psychic Terrain is still up, but Kickaster saved his Spore on his Amoonguss, so he can definitely go Amoonguss. He does go to Lando because it's probably Earth Plant Lando, and it's at 60%, so he can take a Moonblast and probably 2k with his Clefable if it's running a good amount of attack, or if it is Earth Plate. Yeah, I feel like Kickaster just completely destroyed Lions. This game is, I think, mostly over, but we'll just wait it out to see if anything interesting happens. Yeah, that is a very strong EQ. It was actually doing around 50% without the crit, So not actually enough to KO this Clefable. 53, so I guess it's a lower end roll. And at this point, if Clefable all it does is spam soft boil, he's gonna get crit, and he's never gonna be able to kill this Lando because he has enough EQ PP to outlast most of the soft boils. And at that point, just Clefable has basically become useless. So he does choose to go to his Scizor though, not actually U-turning. Does he not have U-turn? I guess he knows he's going to softball, it's not going to matter anyway. He goes to Scizor and knocks off on the Flamethrower. Yeah, like, see, if he had saved his goddamn Sharpedo's Seed Boost, maybe he'd have a chance to, like, crit the, like, flinch the Gren or something like that. But, Amoonguss comes in on the Dark Pulse, and once again, he's going to have to go for the flinch. There's no other option. Like, Amoonguss is always going to heal itself up, and at least in that previous position, you're going to at least force the Spore from the Amoonguss and not have the Gren die. Now the Gren's in position to die from Giga Drain, and it's just worse. So he does not get the flinch, and this game is over. So Sharpedo comes in, it's going to just go for Psychic Fangs, I guess, if I were Kickasser. I mean, his Scizor dies at this point, right? So he does indeed go to Scizor. As the Sharpedo crunches, Greninja is going to come in, and Clef is at 88. He does protect. I mean, at this point, he has no reason not to protect. As the Gren goes for a U-turn, he's going to go Clef, as the Greninja is going to U-turn again. And the Lando comes out. There's no lefties on this Clef, so now it's not going to be able to outlast the EQs, and this game is basically over. He crits, saves us some time, and that's the game. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. That's the game. I think Kickasser basically just dominated this series. Full Turn put him in a lot of... He actually didn't use Volt Switch at all. He only used U-turn. He used Scizor and Scarf Greninja both game, and actually, did this Lando show U-turn? It did show U-turn. So he used the same Lando, Gren, Scizor core. On his first team, he used Tapu Koko and plus Kyurem B, and then Tapu Fini as like a defensive glue. And in this team, he used Specs Lele and Amoonguss as a defensive glue with, I guess, Gladios as like hazard control, sort of like Fini. Since if you're going to use U-turn so many times, you need to be able to keep hazards off your side of the field. And you want to keep them on the opponent's side of the field to really punish every single switch. But yeah, Kickasser just dominated this, so that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.